I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bathroom door. The sound of water cascading from the shower filled the room, muffling my racing thoughts. My boyfriend, Jared, was oblivious, lost in his routine, unaware that tonight would be his last. As soon as I heard the water, I leaped up and grabbed his phone from the nightstand. My heart pounded in my chest as I navigated to the messages. My fingers flew across the screen, my breath catching in my throat. There it was, the proof I needed. My best friend, Emma, and Jared had been sneaking around behind my back. But it wasn't the betrayal that enraged me. No, what set my blood boiling was the fact that Emma hadn't followed through with our plan. She was supposed to kill him, not sleep with him. The messages were a sickening mix of flirtation and deceit. Emma had gotten close, but she had failed. I threw the phone across the room, watching it smash against the wall. Rage surged through me, and I punched the wall with all my might, feeling the sharp pain shoot up my arm. Emma had been with me from the beginning. We had met in a support group for women who had been wronged by men. At first, it was just a way to vent, to share our stories of betrayal and heartbreak. But soon, it became something more. We were tired of being victims. We wanted revenge. Our group grew, attracting women from all walks of life, each with their own story of pain and anger. We found solace in each other, a shared hatred that bound us together. And then, one night, after a particularly brutal tale of abuse, the idea was born. We would not just talk about our hatred. We would act on it. We would find men who had wronged us and make them pay. And we would film it, uploading the videos to the deep web for money. It was dangerous, thrilling, and most importantly, it gave us power. The first kill had been mine. A cheating ex who thought he could treat me like dirt. I remember the exhilaration as I plunged the knife into his chest, the life draining from his eyes. The others followed, each with their own creative methods. Poison, staged accidents, even wild animals. We reveled in our newfound control, our twisted sisterhood. But now, Emma had betrayed me. Not by sleeping with Jared, but by failing to do what needed to be done. I couldn't trust her anymore. She had to be dealt with. I paced the room, trying to calm my racing heart. The water stopped, and I knew I had to act fast. I grabbed the knife from under the bed, my fingers wrapping around the handle with a sense of purpose. I slipped into the bathroom, the steam swirling around me, masking my presence. Jared turned, surprise flashing in his eyes. I didn't give him a chance to react. The knife found its mark, again and again, until his body slumped to the floor. I felt a sick satisfaction as I watched the life leave his eyes, the betrayal avenged. I stood there, covered in blood, my mind racing. Emma was next. She had to pay for her betrayal. I cleaned up, changing clothes and gathering my things. I knew where she would be. Our hideout, the place where we planned and celebrated our kills. As I drove through the night, my mind replayed the events that had led us here. We were all broken, twisted by the men who had hurt us. But now, we had turned that pain into power. We were unstoppable. I arrived at the hideout, the old warehouse looming in the darkness. I slipped inside, my heart pounding in my chest. Emma was there, her back to me, oblivious to her fate. I approached silently, the knife ready. She turned, surprise and fear in her eyes as she saw me. But before I could strike, something changed. A smile spread across her face, a cold, knowing smile. And then I saw them. The others. Our group, standing behind her, watching me with cold, calculating eyes.
You were supposed to kill him.
I spat, my voice shaking with rage. Emma's smile widened.
Oh, but I did. We did. And now, you'll die too.
The realization hit me like a truck. They had been planning this. I was the target now. The hunted. I turned to run, but it was too late. They were on me, their hands grabbing, pulling, dragging me to the ground. I fought, but it was useless. They were too strong, too many. As the knife plunged into my flesh, I realized the truth. We had become the monsters we hated. And now, I was just another victim. The last thing I saw was Emma's face, her cold, satisfied smile. And then, darkness. The videos would go on, the killings would continue. But I would just be another story, another twisted tale for the deep web. The Sisterhood would survive, and the cycle of hatred and revenge would never end. 1 year earlier. It was a rainy Wednesday evening when I first met Emma. We were in a dingy church basement, a group of women gathered for a support meeting. The air was thick with the smell of old coffee and the musty scent of worn-out carpets. I sat in the corner, listening to the stories of betrayal and heartache, feeling a sense of camaraderie but also a deep-seated rage that simmered beneath the surface. Emma spoke with a quiet intensity, her story echoing my own pain. An abusive husband who controlled her every move, who belittled and degraded her. As she spoke, I felt a connection, a spark of something more than just shared misery. After the meeting, we lingered, talking in hushed tones. It wasn't long before our conversations turned dark. The idea of revenge was intoxicating, a way to reclaim the power that had been stolen from us. It started as a fantasy, a way to vent our anger. But soon, it became a plan. Our first target together was Emma's husband. We spent weeks planning, studying his routines, finding the perfect moment. Emma was supposed to poison him, a slow-acting toxin that would make it look like a heart attack. But she couldn't do it. She hesitated, and he survived. I stepped in, taking matters into my own hands. It was brutal, messy, but effective. The sense of satisfaction, of power, was overwhelming. We filmed it, uploaded it, and watched as the views and the money rolled in. The deep web was a dark, twisted place, and our videos found an eager audience. With each kill, our group grew bolder, more creative. There was Sarah, who used her knowledge of plants to create deadly poisons. Lisa, who was an expert at making accidents look real. And Jessica, who had a knack for manipulating wild animals. Each of us had our own specialty, our own way of exacting revenge. But the deeper we went, the more we changed. The hatred that bound us together also twisted us, turning us into the very monsters we despised. We fed off each other's anger, our plans growing more elaborate, more sadistic. I should have seen the signs, the way Emma's eyes grew colder, more calculating. But I was blinded by my own rage, my own desire for vengeance. I trusted her, even as she plotted against me. As I lay on the cold warehouse floor, bleeding out, I thought back to the moments that had led us here. The support group, the first kill, the night spent planning and celebrating our twisted victories. We had become a family, bound by blood and hatred. But in the end, it was all a lie. Emma had played me, used me to further her own plans. I was just a pawn, disposable. The others watched as I struggled, their faces expressionless. They had made their choice, sided with Emma. I was the enemy now, a loose end to be tied up. As the darkness closed in, I felt a strange sense of peace. The cycle would continue, but I was free. Free from the hatred, the endless quest for revenge. My story would end here, but the Sisterhood would go on, a relentless force of vengeance and pain. And somewhere, out there in the darkness of the deep web, someone would watch my final moments, the last chapter in a tale of horror and betrayal. Months later, Emma sat in front of her computer, watching the latest video upload. The views were skyrocketing, the comments filled with praise and admiration. She smiled, a cold, calculating smile. The Sisterhood was stronger than ever. New members had joined, each bringing their own brand of vengeance. The cycle of hatred and revenge continued, an endless spiral of pain. Emma leaned back, her mind already plotting the next target. The power, the control, it was intoxicating. She was no longer a victim, no longer powerless. She was the hunter, and the world was full of prey. As she watched the video, the final moments of her former friend playing out on the screen, she felt a surge of satisfaction. The Sisterhood would survive, thrive even. And no one would stand in their way. The darkness of the deep web welcomed them, a haven for their twisted brand of justice. And as long as there were men who wronged them, the Sisterhood would be there, ready to exact their revenge. In the end, it wasn't about justice or vengeance. It was about power. And Emma had all the power she needed.
Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen for more shadowy delights.